promise I won't tell anybody.
What if this fear, this blood, and this flesh was yours? Quentin Tarantino presents the scariest American movie in a decade. Hostel.
It's supposed to be real. It's supposed to be a real rush, right?
Hey everybody, this is Brandon Ford and welcome to a special remixed edition of the Blind Rage podcast. This commentary for Hostel, which was episode 2, was originally posted to the podcasting platforms on October 19th, 2020. So just over 2 years ago, because today is October 21st, 2022. And because of the way I mixed it originally via the Anchor app, I didn't think that I would be able to salvage the recording and repost it on the YouTube channel, but I still have the commentary track with my commentary, and so I remixed it. So hopefully it sounds a little bit better. I think it's a little low, and I do a fair bit of moving around during the commentary, so you can hear the wire of the microphone jangling. But like I said, this was episode number 2, so I was very, very early on the Blind Rage podcast venture. And why didn't I post number 1, you ask? Well, number 1 is Poison Ivy, and I tried to post the commentary for Poison Ivy, The New Seduction, and it was immediately blocked by YouTube, so I figured that there is some issue with New Line Cinema content and YouTube, so I really didn't feel like going through all the trouble of doing a new mix and a new intro for something that's more than likely going to be taken down immediately. So yeah, I'm starting with Hostel, and I'm hoping to do some more remixes for the older episodes so that I can get them up on the YouTube channel and create more content for you guys. So we're going to get into the commentary in just a few, but a couple of things that I want to say beforehand. Make sure that if you're watching along, you have the director's cut version, because that is the version I inadvertently recorded a commentary for. And if you don't know, the director's cut has the very, very stupid alternate ending, which involves the Paxton character kidnapping the little girl, presumably to kill her, and it ends with her father screaming as the train pulls away. Hate that ending, but I fucked up. When I recorded the commentary, as I tended to do during these early days, again, this was episode number 2, and there originally, if you have listened to this episode on the podcasting platforms, originally I did what was called a 3D countdown. I don't know, that's what it was called, but it was a 10 count, and so yeah, I've eliminated that, and so we're just going to start with a regular 3, 2, 1 count, as I've been doing with all of the more recent episodes of the podcast. But before we get into it, I would like to encourage everybody to please check out my most recent book, Drowning in Oceans of Black, which was just released in audiobook format. You can find that on audible.com. If you prefer, you can also check it out in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle editions on amazon.com, along with several of my other titles, which you can find easily by typing in Brandon Ford. There's also several other titles available on Audible, which you can find by typing in Brandon Ford. If you don't already, please follow me on Instagram at writer Brandon Ford. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the Blind Rage Podcast YouTube channel and leave some comments about what you think about the episode, the commentary, my thoughts. Leave your thoughts on the movie in the comments section. It definitely helps with the algorithms, gets people to, gets the episode some more exposure. So again, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget to check out the official Blind Rage Podcast Facebook page. You can like and subscribe there as well. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, suggestions, recommendations, feel free to email me directly at blindragepod81@gmail.com. So without further ado, we're going to get into the commentary for Hostel. All right, so here we go. 3, 2, 1, play. Alright, so this is Hostel. You know, I always used to get, confused, both confused and angry, because I'd always heard, or whenever the film was referred to by anyone, the release year was always said to be 2005. But I saw this theatrically in January of 2006. So it wasn't until I, a few minutes ago, decided to pull up Wikipedia and check out the release. Well, actually, I was going to look up some information about the film, but then I decided I didn't care. And came to find that it was actually released in at the Toronto Film Festival in September of 2005. So technically it was released in 2005. It just didn't get a mainstream release until January 6th. But I saw this in theaters in a packed house in January 2006. And the audience reaction was interesting. It was very much like the reaction that the audience had with High Tension. It was like there was a lot of cheering and hooting and general boisterous behavior during some of the more, what I thought to be, disturbing and unsettling and unnerving scenes. I did a commentary for Cabin Fever during my days of doing B-Movie Bonanza, and it's a movie. Cabin Fever is a movie that I enjoy purely because it's so fucking bad. It's considered one of the best films for some reason of its day, of its era, but I don't see it as such. I enjoy it purely on a this is so stupid level. With Hostel, I used to say that I had a love-hate relationship with this film, but I don't think that's entirely accurate because I don't love the movie. There are definitely some aspects of it that I enjoy and appreciate, but there are more aspects or elements that I find abhorrent. And it should come as no surprise to anyone that it would be the homophobic dialogue. And and it's not only that, it's the the characters are so unlikable, and these are characters that we're supposed to root for and we're supposed to feel sorry for when bad things happen to them. But I find that a little bit difficult when, they're just complete tools throughout the whole movie. The only person that I felt anything for was Ghana. The, what was she? Japanese, I believe? Tourist? He's talking about having fanny pack sex. See, everything is a gay slur. If it's not saying something is outright gay, but it's saying, or the F word, it's homophobic, homosexual implication in a bad way. And it is very offensive. And I know that we're living, thankfully, in a time now where that is no longer accepted, not only in life, but in mainstream cinema. Oh, good. There goes the first F-bomb, the first of many. And Jay Hernandez's character, I think, is guilty of it the most. And he just held up a limp wrist to somebody waiting to get in the club that he just got thrown out of and said, "You need a limp wrist. You need one of these to get in." So, I mean, Eli Roth has said, in interviews that these are college kids. These are the way college kids talk. These are the way college kids act. Yeah, if they're morons and they don't know any better, yeah, that is the way they talk and act. But that's not the way you write characters that you want the audience to sympathize and most of all empathize for when they're in jeopardy, especially when they're in jeopardy as extreme as the jeopardy in this film. Because you definitely have torture. This was, the beginning of the torture porn, or quote. A lot of people hate that phrase. People who are fans of the genre. I don't mind it. I don't mind the genre. I'm a fan of the original Saw. The sequels, not so much. I'm a fan of High Tension. I'm a fan of Wolf Creek. Some of them, not all of them. Like I said, I have an appreciation / hate relationship or feeling toward this movie. And it's not just the homophobic dialogue, but there's an awful lot of fuck bombs too. And it seems to me to be just lazy writing. And getting back to the homophobic dialogue, this is something that I'm going to stay on because it's a very important subject, and it's one that I always think of when I think of this particular film. I might have mentioned. I know I've spoken about it in my commentary for Cabin Fever, but Eli was definitely aware of the uproar his use of the word or of the homophobic dialogue caused at the time of the film, and how many people were frankly upset by it. And, he didn't apologize, not that I know of, not that I'm aware of. He stuck to the, this is the way college kids talk and act, blah, 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 blah. And he did there was some implicating that the, I believe it's the Josh character, the kind of dorky one, that maybe he was gay, and I think it's Josh. I don't remember Jay Hernandez's character's name. I will say this about Jay Hernandez, and I don't know from Dutch, but he sounds to me like he does speak pretty good Dutch. But there was some implication that whatever his name is was supposed to be gay, and that was the reason why he was having a difficult time hooking up with any of the women in Amsterdam. Either that, or I think he was having trouble. Did they say he was having trouble getting over somebody, or am I thinking of a totally different movie? But anyway, and especially the moment on the train where the older guy puts his hand on his thigh, and he kind of freaks out. So yeah, there's that. So he tried to use that as a bit of a defense, but then, in Hostel 2, which I have not seen since it first came out, and for some reason, it's the one that fans of these movies enjoy the most. I don't even really consider part 3 to be a part of the series because it was straight to video, and I don't think it had anything at all to do. Eli Roth had anything at all to do with it. But what was I saying? In part 2, I remember, like I said, I saw it once when it first came out. Never had any desire to see it again because I thought it was awful, painful to watch at times, and not bad in the fun way, but just bad. And I believe it was Bijou Phillips's character, when they're checking in at I think it was the hostel that they were staying at, and the concierge or front desk person or whomever, whatever the title is, their title was, it said something about, we have these parades, or we have festivities, some kind of, I don't know, they have some kind of celebration. And her response was, that sounds kind of gay. And to me, that was pretty much Eli Roth not only giving the double finger to people who are offended by the gay slurs in this movie and the homophobia, but to the gay, what's the word? Gay people? That's, I was going for something a little bit more articulate, but toward the homosexual community, thank you. Toward the homosexual community, it's like, you don't like the way I write my dialogue? Well, I'm just going to slip this one in here, and I'm almost positive that that word doesn't come up again for the rest of the movie. That is why I lean so heavily toward it being a fuck you to the gay community, and for people who were in such an uproar over the dialogue in this particular film. So, yeah, they're doing some... Okay, some of the stuff I get. I mean, I know that's what straight guys do with each other. With the picture that they're taking of Oleg's ass and with a face on it or whatever, and There's definitely a lot of homoeroticism that goes on between straight, or supposedly straight male friends. Um, so, and I know that was probably partially what he was trying to put into this script, into his characters, but it was overkill. And it just, like I said, made the character so unlikable. And so, um, onto the things that I appreciate about the film is it's it's very dark at times. You know, when things really start rolling, and you get away from all the homophobia. But when things really start to take off and the terror really starts to begin, it's unrelenting, and it brings on a sense of dread, and like I said, it's unnerving, and it's hard to do that these days. Well, this was 15 years ago, but it's hard to do that in modern horror cinema unless you're, you know, French, because they seem to have a firmer grasp on the horror genre than the American filmmakers do these days, with the new French extremity. Um, but this is so disgusting to eat a salad with your fingers. Um, so, what was I going to say? Yeah. His reaction is way over the top. Whoa, don't touch me. Really? Was that necessary? Was him putting his hand on you that jarring, that upsetting? I mean, I wouldn't have liked it myself, personally, but I wouldn't have flipped the fuck out like that. And I think he's giving himself a little too much credit because, you know, I don't really think that guy really wanted a piece of him anyway. Well, he wanted a piece, but just not the piece he thought. Any hoozle. Um, I don't remember where exactly I read it or heard it somewhere, but someone who has seen all of Eli Roth's movies, including Cabin Fever, as well as The Green Inferno, and the completely unnecessary remake of Cabin Fever, which was abysmal. Um, I can agree with the assessment that all of his characters are essentially the same. Just like all of Rob Zombie's characters are essentially the same. Um, but the plots to his films are all the same, basically. It's a group of college age kids who go to a foreign place, a foreign land, disrespect the culture, and get fucked up because of it. Uh, yeah. That's kind of, yeah. That's kind of the gist of all of his films. I don't even know. He's doing more producing work these days as opposed to writer, writing and directing. So I don't even know why he gets that title. Like he's not a John Carpenter or a Wes Craven or a Tobe Hooper or any of the horror masters that or legends have that which have gone over the years, because he's been at it 20 years and his film credits are of writing and directing are so minimal, and he has yet to do anything that is truly unique. And I did think that the premise for this was unique at the time until I discovered that there was another movie which the name I can't remember off the top of my head, has a very similar plot. Very, very similar. But I haven't seen it, but I doubt it. I'm willing to bet it doesn't have anywhere near as much homophobia or unlikable characters. Um, I don't know. I always tried to. I mean, it's pretty obvious that the Oleg character is older than than Josh and Jay Hernandez's characters, but I always assumed I was never quite certain how much older he was. I would say early to mid 30s, give or take. But he said he was married for 8 years, so mid 30s is probably more like it. This brunette girl, who is the Russian girl who ends up being one of the baddies, I always thought she was exceptionally gorgeous. Um, but yeah, so we know that I wish they would say his name because I don't want to keep referring to him as Jay Hernandez. I think they're going to make with some introductions here in the spa, so we might get to hear it. Um, I'm so happy I shaved my balls. Great line. So Paxton, there we go. I was quiet to listen because I was listening to it. So yeah, Josh and Paxton are back doing the whole backpacking through Europe during college, which is definitely not an original concept at all. But where or how they happen upon Oleg and what Oleg is doing is really never explained. But Oleg kind of attaches him because he's from Iceland, he says, and he kind of attaches himself to them and they become they go on this venture together, the three of them. That song's kind of not bad, I will say. And I really don't like this kind of music. I remember when this, I like this part. It should stop now. I remember when this first came out. I don't think there was an official soundtrack, but in one of the, it wasn't well, it was a peer-to-peer network, but it wasn't a torrent website, but it was a peer-to-peer website with a chat room in it that I used to frequent, and somebody made a bootleg, a soundtrack with all the songs from the movie. Oh, I forgot to mention, I forgot to mention, my reaction to seeing the film initially. I had mixed feelings for sure. Like I said, the dialogue and the homophobia bothered me from the beginning, and what bothered me more than that was that it wasn't mentioned in more of the reviews of the film, because it got a lot of very positive reviews when it came out, and it really was never mentioned. But when I saw it theatrically, I saw it with an X. The Bubblegum Gang, I gotta talk about them at a later scene. Um, so, yeah, I saw it with an ex who later told me that he was very offended by the dialogue and very close to encouraging us to leave during the screening. Um, and, you know, um, with a movie as violent as this is, especially for the time, I'm sure, looking at it now, if I could, uh, I probably wouldn't find it as disturbing or as effective. But at the time, I was never one for gore films, so I am not completely desensitized to that kind of stuff. I think I've seen more since, but I was never one who. Well, extreme gore is something that you see more in foreign films, and foreign films were never something that I really embraced much of, and I do regret that now considerably. I regret a lot of things since my the deterioration of my vision. I regret not having read more books, not having seen more movies, not having embraced more foreign cinema. Because there's some amazing stuff that's come out overseas and I missed out on. And I can't, check it out now because I don't understand the language and I can't read the subtitles. But I did manage to check out some French cinema because I'm not fluent by any means. I do understand the language a bit, and I'm able to follow some stuff. I'm able to follow the story. I watched, or I listened rather, to In My Skin and Game Over and Inside and some other stuff. And for the most part, I was able to follow it. When the dialogue isn't too sophisticated, I'm able to follow it. And if I miss out on anything, just go to Wikipedia and check the plot. So, since not everything has audio description, especially in foreign films, it's hard for me to get my hands on some of this stuff. But anyway, getting back to the night I saw the film, I remember being affected, like I said, by the violence, and I definitely think there are some disturbing aspects to this film. Mainly the scene involving the blowtorch and Ghana because of Ghana, her character, she was very small and quiet and unassuming. She didn't know the language. She didn't know the English language very well. She's very cute. She was definitely a sympathetic character. And when she gets a blowtorch to the eye and she's screaming in agony, and she later hurls herself in front of a train. It's much more effective. Here's another one. How are we supposed to understand this without subtitles? Fucking gay. Yeah, that's really that's gay. And Quentin Tarantino had to give himself a nod by having Pulp Fiction play on the screen. Good, that's good. Um, yeah. So I don't know why I keep veering off course is kind of my nature when I do these things. But after the film, um, I remember going to the restroom with with my ex and at the theater, and it was pretty full. I think he found a urinal, and I just went into a stall, and we really didn't talk much immediately after the film. And I remember emerging from the stall as he was coming, uh, you know, leaving from the urinal to go to the sink, and I just remember looking at him and seeing something weird in his face, and I said, "Are you okay?" And I remember his exact words, and that went too far. And I was like, "Wow, okay." It's not like we watched Cannibal Holocaust, which I've never seen and never planned to. Um, so here we go. We have some exposition here where Paxton is telling a story about how he has the or had the opportunity to save the life of a little girl who was drowning, but he didn't because he couldn't swim, and the little girl dies. So later, when he hears Ghana screaming, it's like he's having that flashback, and he goes back into the building to save her, and that's one of the few moments in the film where it feels like when Eli Roth sat down to pen the script, he was actually trying to flesh out his characters. And, because other than that, you really don't know anything about them. See, that's another thing. The only thing we know about them is that they're obnoxious college kids. The same can be said for the characters in many of his other films. Okay, see, they're following this guy here. This doesn't fly with me here because they're following this guy who is a native of wherever the fuck they are, somewhere in the Czech Republic, and they're following him because they think he's Oleg because he's wearing Oleg's jacket, which is a cheap ass fucking windbreaker first and foremost. So we're meant to believe that he, the stranger that they're chasing after, was a part of the group, whatever they're called, and he paid to mutilate Oleg, which the guy can't even afford a toothbrush, literally. So I don't see how he could afford to pay to mutilate someone. That's first and foremost. He looks homeless to me. And if he's gonna take anything as a souvenir or anything from anyone that he has participated in the murder and mutilation of, why would he take that cheap ass jacket? And a lot of the people who, yeah, because a lot of the people, or at least you're led to believe, people who um, who participate in whatever the fuck it's called. What is it called? It's called the fucking, I don't even remember. It doesn't matter. But the people who essentially pay to kill and torment an individual however they please are, as it turns out, American businessmen, or so it seems, or Americans with money, or Europeans with money, and apparently the Americans are the most expensive, which, you know, I can understand why. Who the fuck? The rest of the world hates us. And I'm not saying I agree with them, but we're not very well liked. But so anyway, as I was saying, so this, so why would this guy, who is from wherever they are, pay to quote unquote work on, or fucking, I don't know, murder Oleg, who is from Iceland? So maybe he was cheaper. I don't get it. No, they're acting like fucking Oleg did something wrong by leaving them. They weren't even like friends. When he's Paxton's studying to be a lawyer, because he certainly talks and acts like one. I remember reading something about the music that was used in the film, and many of the songs were hits overseas in certain countries. I'd like this one, for example. I'm not sure where, but so they're supposedly going to Barcelona after this little excursion. Okay, I guess because I'm running out of shit to talk about, because the script is so fucking weak. What I want to say about the Bubblegum Gang is I always felt as though I missed something, because apparently if you give them, I didn't understand that. I never understood the whole thing with the gum in the first place. Svetlana, or whatever the fuck her name was, the Russian girl who leads Paxton to the building where the mutilation and dismemberment is happening. She buys a bag of gum from the driver of the car like she's buying drugs, which I thought was very weird. And later, Paxton finds the bag of gum when he steals the car, and he gives it to the bubblegum gang, who in turn fucking, I like this song too. Who stomp on some heads, man, and kill, or one would assume kill the people who are after Paxton. I don't know if I've ever said this in one of my podcasts, but I think one of the rudest things, I hate it, it's one of my pet peeves, that anyone can do who speaks a foreign language or is from another country, is speak that language to someone else who is fluent in that language, knowing that you can't understand what they're saying. Because to me, that is the equivalent of whispering in someone's ear, like when you're a kid. It's like, you know they're saying something about you, you just don't know what it is. And if they're not saying something about you, they're saying something that they don't want you to hear, which is all fine and dandy, but you wait for the other person to leave before you start exchanging secrets. You don't just start speaking a foreign tongue. It's rude. It's like teachers always used to say, if you have something to share it with the entire class. Okay, and here we're about to get to Josh's demise. And I don't want to, put anybody on blast, especially not anybody doing podcasts. But there is another movie commentary podcast, which I listen to every week and have for a while and thoroughly enjoy. But the host and or moderator tells the same stories over and over and over again. Which I kind of forgive because he has different guests every week, and he does generally pick some good movies to do commentaries for. But he's mentioned the scene coming up where Josh's Achilles tendons are sliced, and when he goes to walk, they split. It's they're the same prosthetics that were used in Kill Bill, apparently. There's a lot of F-bombs, and when I say F-bombs, I mean fucks. What the fuck? If I was tied to a chair in my underwear in some strange room, and there was somebody who was clearly going to do something bad to me, I think I would put a pin in the language a little bit. All he does is fuck. I didn't fucking do anything to you. Oh my fucking god, don't fucking do this to me. Don't fucking do this to me. Anybody else would have been, well, he is crying, but anybody else would be pleading. I don't really think you hear a please. You don't really hear a please. You don't hear a let me go. You don't hear a don't do this to me. You just hear a lot of fucks. Which, if the character was remotely likable and remotely sympathetic before this, I think the dialogue that he delivers here would have destroyed that. Because, you don't feel sorry for somebody in these conditions when they're just dropping a lot of fucks. And now he's crying and saying, why?
Other boards would not pass me. Can you be smiled?
Ew.
See? So I went into business.
I think I missed something. The geezer said he always wanted to be a surgeon, but the boards wouldn't pass him. And he said, "Can you guess why?" And I don't remember what that was.
He touches. He has a relationship with it.
I don't remember where I heard this from. Might have been on the commentary, although I don't remember listening to the commentaries, because there's like 4 commentaries, and Eli is on all of them. But and this kind of blows my mind, especially since I revisited the documentary "This Film Is Not Yet Rated" a couple nights ago. But the Hostel was given an R rating the first time around, the first pass. I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know where, I don't know when, I don't know who, but it got an R rating, which, and it's all in the eye of the beholder, I guess, and it doesn't necessarily always have to do with sexual content, violence. Yeah, there's a split of the Achilles tendon, and if I hadn't seen this before, I would have been cringing. But overall tone of a film can get you an NC-17, and this is a very, very dark film. I mean, it has its moronic laughs in the beginning, but generally it's pretty it's pretty dark. But yeah, he got an R rating, but according to Eli Roth, he was contractually obligated, I believe, by Lionsgate to deliver an unrated version of the film for DVD. And since the film passed without cuts, he did something. All he did was add, I think, 8 extra seconds of goo pouring out of Ghana's eye socket, and that was basically it.
But this is bullshit. Did somebody leave a note or something? Because I didn't fucking check out, dude.
No, man. Just this bag, if it's a mistake.
Well, yeah, it's definitely a mistake. I mean, we need a fucking room.
Chill out, man. You're on vacation.
Yeah, I don't understand this mentality to fucking drop F-bombs to the concierge. Japanese. That's what she. Yeah, that's what I said. She was Japanese. Ghana. There's another thing too that kind of frustrates me about this movie is you don't really know exactly who is in on what. Is the concierge in on it? Are those 2 girls in on it? I would assume yes. So we know that older guy who killed Josh, well, he wasn't in on it. He was a customer.
I'm at the hostel.
Oh yeah, he not only did he drop an awful lot of gay F-bombs and a lot of gay slurs, but he said he got locked outside the club, and that was retarded. Good, yeah. I read or heard in an interview, because Eli Roth clearly likes to talk about himself a lot in interviews, and I remember he told the story about working on some film or working for some director, and his job was to work, just to stay in a basement for like 9-10 hours every day, and the only thing that he was paid to do was flip a switch to turn on the air conditioning whenever the director or whoever radioed for him to do so. And I think he did it for a while, if I'm not mistaken. And however, I think a lot of that time was wasted because he could have been studying some books on how to write believable dialogue that rings true, and not pulling from what he hears in everyday life or how he talks in everyday life. Because since all of the characters sound the same, it wouldn't surprise me if that was how he talks. I'm doing an awful lot of Eli Roth slamming, which is what I did when I did Cabin Fever. Now, is this guy in on it? I mean, like, what the fuck? They don't tell you shit. You're just supposed to know. And please forgive me if I mispronounce his name, but I think it's Takashi Miike. His cameo is coming up pretty soon, and his films I missed out on, unfortunately, and he definitely sounds like somebody I should have checked out during my more exploratory days of the horror genre. But for the longest time, I was, for lack of a better word, prejudiced when it comes to foreign cinema. And I mean that in that it's not that I didn't like the culture or the people. It was that I preferred American horror films, and the few your foreign films of the genre that I'd seen were so bad that it kind of turned me off. I always like this scene here. Where the two girls are talking. I particularly like the blonde in this scene because they're acting like he's overreacting and he's just making something out of nothing. And the blonde just looks at him. He asks something. It's about to come up. And the blonde looks at him and she's like, why? What is wrong? And I just like the look on her face. Because she...
No, that doesn't make any sense. Well, because they didn't leave a note. They didn't call.
Here you go. Why? What is wrong? Because it's like they're the ones who are definitely into some nefarious acts, and
Okay, whatever. Where is this art show? Because I want to go.
and
All right, I want to see some art. Okay, so can we go?
this scene here too, kind of makes you... Here's the gum. Is bubble gum pretty big in what is it, the Czech Republic? But it kind of makes me wonder if what their intentions truly. Well, I don't know. I don't know what their intentions were with Josh, because he had to basically I don't want to say browbeat, but he was very forceful with, what was her name, Svetlana, something like that, and about going to the quote unquote museum where Josh supposedly is, and she is hesitant at first, so it makes me wonder what her and her friend's intentions were towards Paxton, because it doesn't seem like they were going to you know, sell him essentially.
Are you coming or what?
But when they go, you know,
How is it in there?
she delivers that famous line, which I think comes there he is, Takashi Miike.
And all you are man and fair.
I'm grasping at straws here, but yeah, it just makes me wonder if they really had any dark intentions towards Paxton, because they didn't want to at least take him at that point, but then they do. I mean, because he encouraged Svetlana or whoever to take him, and then she starts laughing and says, he calls her a bitch when he finds Josh being dissected, and she says, I got a lot of money for you, that makes you my bitch, which I don't really think works.
That's the show.
Yes.
She's so untrustworthy here. You could so ridiculously tell that she's up to something. And now the way she's laughing. And I'm not saying that this is a fault, but I just think this makes her character creepy. But I remember that line, that I got a lot of money for you, that makes you my bitch, got a huge response when I saw it in theaters, and I don't think it really works. Because I think it would have worked better if because he calls her a bitch or a whore and or whatever first, and then she delivers the line. I think it would have worked better if she said something like, I got a lot of money for you, that makes you the bitch, something like that. But he didn't say, you're my, wait, you fucking whore, here we go.
I get a lot of money for you. That make you my bitch.
Yeah, I mean, the emphasis on my kind of ruins it, because he doesn't say, you're my bitch, and she's saying, no, I got a lot of money for you, that makes you my bitch. You know, he's just calling her a bitch, and then she says, that makes you my, I got a lot of money, that makes you my, I don't know, it doesn't work for me. Now, who the hell was that screaming? I will say this, the one moment that I do feel something for Josh is when he is tied to the chair and he's about to get, worked over, fucked up, and he pleads with his captor in Dutch. And his delivery as well, even though there aren't any subtitles and you don't know what he's saying. But I think it's effective. And I later looked up what it was he was saying. And instead of saying, oh fuck, leave me the fuck alone, please don't fucking do this to me, what the fuck, oh my fucking god, the way Josh did, he tries to plead with his captor using his native language, and he says something. It's been so long since I read the translation, but he says something along the lines of, please don't do this to me. If you kill me, you'll see me every time you close your eyes, every time you go to bed at night. You'll never forget me. You'll never forget what you did to me. Something like that. And it's definitely not a line that Eli Roth wrote. I could tell you that, because he's not capable of being, writing a sympathetic character or sympathetic dialogue, even in English before it's translated. Now I want to look it up, what he says. But I think it's coming up, because I want to listen to it. This guy's a fucking sociopath with the scissors. I don't like that. Somebody snapping says, oh. Please don't. Okay. So that's a please. That's one please that Josh didn't give. Ooh. And it's so loud. Where is it? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know you don't want to do this. Okay. Wait, here it comes. It's got to be coming now. When the guy, I remember, it's been a while since I've seen it, but when you see the close-up of the guy, his eyes, it looks like what Paxton was saying actually got to him. And I think it did, in a way, because he gets the ball gag put on him. So, I kind of take it back to a degree about what I said about being unsympathetic toward all the characters, because you do kind of feel sorry for Paxton to some degree, even though he does do the majority of the homophobic lines, but he does seem pretty terrified in this scene. And like I said, the delivery of that, oh, chainsaw, good. It's never a horror movie without a chainsaw. His delivery of that dialogue is very good. And I really want to know what he said. What I want to know is, what the fuck did he need a chainsaw to cut off his fingers? Why didn't he use those scissors that he was so fucking snap happy with? Or was it is that an accident? Hold on. I don't remember. I know he pukes here. I think he slips. I don't know. This I don't understand. I mean, I've heard of this before. Of being so terrified that you throw up. I can't picture that. At least not for me. See, I don't know what if he meant to do it or if it was an accident. But yeah, what the fuck did he chainsaw his fingers when he had the scissors? Yeah, now he's gonna slip. Here we go. Ah, ta ta. This is very, very Chainsaw Massacre. The original, when Leatherface falls on the road. He fucks up his leg. And we knew that Rock is a fan of Chainsaw Massacre because he's a big horror fan. I remember when this was in production, or when this had just come out, there was a scene, or there was a picture that was taken on set of him, and that scene where he was shooting him, where Josh Paxton was shooting the man. Okay, wait a minute. The chainsaw is eerily quiet now after he shoots. And fucking, why didn't anybody hear the gun shot? I don't know. But two pictures I remember, because this movie did get a lot of exposure and publicity prior to its release and after its release in different magazines. But I remember there was a picture in some magazine of Eli Roth working, and he had a white shirt with Cannibal Holocaust written on it. And that scene where Josh Paxton gets free, and he whirls about and shoots the guy. There was a still shot of him shooting the gun in a review for some magazine. I remember. I don't know why I'm bringing this up, because it's really not interesting. But what I want to say too, there's that. Wait, is that? What is that? That's that sound of those scissors again, or were they not even scissors? They're probably not even scissors. I can't see. I'm listening to the movie and I can't see the screen, even if I wanted to. But another thing that I really didn't like about the sequel, besides the movie overall, but I really didn't like the opening scene where they had to kill Josh just for the sake of killing Paxton. And you don't know who did it, that I can remember. All I know is that he's like suffering some. All I remember is that he's suffering some PTSD from the incidents in the first film, and he's living with his girlfriend, who is Jordan Ladd, who worked with Eli Roth on Cabin Fever, and I don't remember what happened. She leaves the room, and then she comes back, and he's beheaded. And then you see a close-up of somebody riding away on a motorcycle, and you don't know who that was, how they found him, You just know that somebody they waited 2 years too, by the way. So yeah, there's that. Not that I'm completely wild about the ending that is in the finished film for the original, but I had read about the alternate ending, which I'm not sure was on the DVD. I don't think it was. I think it was just on the Blu-ray, if I'm not mistaken. But I read about it and I was curious about it and I did want to see it. And then when I saw it, I was like, that really wasn't a good ending. Because, you know, for those of you who don't know, instead of killing that older guy in the bathroom and then getting on a train and leaving, he kidnaps the guy's daughter and takes her on the train and leaves with her, presumably to kill her. And I had a problem with that because what the fuck did she do? Why? What did she didn't have anything to do with anything. And I know that he was killing her to get to the older guy, but I mean, the kid didn't do anything. So apparently I was the only one who had an issue with that. And by the way, that guy's like 70 and he has a daughter that's like 5. That's kind of unusual, I would say. The scene coming up with the businessman in the room who's talking about what an adrenaline rush it will be to do this and blah 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 blah. I read when the movie came out, like on the forums, on message boards and certain reviews, that a lot of people found that to be the most disturbing scene in the movie. It's a good scene for the most part. It's well acted. It's a little comical. But the most disturbing scene, no, I don't think so. For me, the most disturbing scene is a Ghana getting a blowtorch to the eye. I mean, that's pretty rough stuff right there. And okay, I think we probably passed it, but when the scene or the moment when Paxton gets on that push cart and he hides underneath while the guy's pushing it, and the guy doesn't notice that there's an additional like 180 pounds, is really like, okay, come on. That was like very much something out of like some kind of stupid 80s slapstick comedy, teen comedy or something. And I remember almost the exact same thing happens. I just thought of this. But almost the exact same thing, well, the exact same thing does happen in Ice Cream Man. The Clint Howard Treasure from 1995, where the character Tuna, the overweight kid, is hiding from the ice cream man in the supermarket, and he gets on the bottom level one of those push carts where one of the employees is pushing it, and the employee doesn't notice him. Nobody notices him. So I guess Eli Roth, and I'm sure he's seen Ice Cream Man. So I wonder if Eli Roth thought, well, if it worked for Tuna, then it's gonna work for Paxton. I don't know where my water is, and I know if I move these fucking wires connected to the microphone make a lot of noise. Because this microphone picks up everything. Where is it?
What do you think?
Bitch.
How do I look?
There he
I
is.
feel like a butcher or surgeon or some shit, you know what I mean? I feel so fucking ridiculous in this thing, but I guess you need it, huh?
Okay, I'm gonna end up fucking up the recording, so.
Wait a sec. How was it?
The only other thing I've seen this guy in, I remember he was the boss on the Christina Applegate TV series, Samantha Who, and he had kind of a funny part.
I just fucking love that shit. You know what they got for me?
And
Real special. I've been waiting for almost a week for this shit. I mean, like 50 grand, she better be worth it. You know what I mean? But it's supposed to be real. It's supposed to be a real rush, right? It's like
50 grand, wow.
It's like a real rush, right? Come here. I've been all over the world. You know, I've been everywhere.
This is a decent scene, but I don't find it very disturbing.
You know, every strip club, every whorehouse, it's all the same shit. You know, I just fucked a girl 2 days ago, and I don't even remember the color of her tits. But this is something you never forget, right? Right?
I get what he. Oh,
Right. Let me show you something. This is pretty sweet. Check this out. What do you think it is? Come on, let me see yours. Come on, let me see yours. We're all in the same club. What? I'll be out in a second, guy.
the club. It's a club.
You mind? How'd you do it? I mean, did you do it real slow? Or did you just get it over with right away? Because that's why I asked for the fucking gun. Because I just wanted to just fucking do it quick. You know what I mean? I just wanted to just get it over with. But now I'm thinking maybe because I want to feel it. You know what I mean? I just want to fucking feel it. Shit. So I don't know what to, I'm thinking, what do you think I should do? Make it quick. Make it quick. Yes. Yeah, that's no. Fuck that shit. Fuck this. Too fucking American, dude. I'm going fucking old school. Who wants this, motherfucker? Who wants this shit? Come on, motherfucker. Bring it.
And now he's really kind of comical here. Who wants this shit, motherfucker? I don't get why that's supposed to be disturbing. Or why that got to some people. I mean, I guess the whole desire to crave something so visceral and next level, that you feel so unfulfilled in your life, and having random sex, and I think he said something about drinking or drugs or something along those lines, but it's like trying to find an elevated or next level form of what the fuck is that word? I can't think of the word, but something next level, something that you've never experienced before, something like he says you'll never forget, and that includes fucking murdering somebody brutally and paying 50 grand to do it. I must say, I'm curious how much Americans to buy an American Victim, how much it is. This scene, I'm really kind of glad that I can't see it, because this is really fucked up. What the fuck was I saying? I don't understand how he interprets what she's saying as to cut the eyeball stem off. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't know, but if it were me, I would have just picked her up and said, come on, let's go, and let the fucking thing just swing back and forth. But that's me. We got the radios going. They know there's been an incident. I have to say though, during the chase, when Svetlana fucking gets run over, how in the hell is she supposed to? Is she able to? She like kind of rolls over and looks at the second oncoming car, and she looks fine. Before she gets I think she goes over the car. She gets hit and she goes over the car, and then she gets run over. I think this whole chase sequence was really when the audience was going crazy. I saw this in theaters. By the way, the original poster art, the original one with the gray background and that hook or whatever that thing is, I still don't know what that thing is. To this day, I have no idea what it is. And I guess that was Eli Roth's intent, was to pick... I assume it's a weapon of some kind. But I don't know what it is. That horn sounds so foreign. And those voices sound so angry. I do remember too, getting back to seeing this in the theater, I don't even know if it was opening night. It might have been, but I do remember it being a fully packed house, and there were people sitting on the stairs leading up to the stadium seating, which is a fire hazard and illegal. So I think that's why Hostel 2 got greenlit so quickly. But I don't think I don't know if it did as well because I remember there was a leak. It leaked online in work print format, just like Jason X did some years before, and just like Halloween, Rob Zombie Halloween leaked in the same, yeah, it was the same year, 2007. So that's some work print leaks, and that might have affected the ticket sales. I don't know for Hostel 2, but I don't think it affected the ticket sales for the original Halloween. And people like to talk about how much money it made. Yeah, it made money because it had the name Halloween on it. It didn't make money because it was good. Okay, all right. Can't say I blame her here or the scene that's about to come up when she jumps in front of the train. I probably would have done the same thing after catching a glimpse of my reflection in that glass. It's terrible. See, I'm obviously missing something because I'm not watching the screen, but he clearly knows what she's thinking and what she's about to do. Why didn't he go and grab her? He hears the train coming, he sees her moving he sees her moving along the platform, and he's saying, no, don't do it. Why doesn't he go and stop her? Oh, that's awful. And then you got that sad music playing in the background.
I prefer to use my hands. I believe people have lost their relationship with food. They do not think this is something gay to try, so I would not go hungry. I like to have a connection,
And his explanation for not using a fork is so dumb. I believe people have lost their relationship with food. So, in order to have a good relationship with a salad, you have to use your fingers. You can't use a fork because there's some sort of separation. I don't. Okay. If you say so. I wonder if this new ending was shot after a test screening or if it was encouraged by the studio. Because, like I said, the ending with kidnapping the little girl is not only nonsensical, but it's unsatisfying. I mean, this guy here is clearly responsible for everything that happened. You know, for Josh's death and for Oleg and for Ghana, and you know, I mean, it only makes sense that, you know, because this would suddenly turn into an exploitation film, and but get some vigilante justice in here. Okay, now they're dragging it out a little bit. I haven't seen Jay Hernandez in anything in a while. I wonder what the hell he's doing. I remember he got a lot of attention for that movie. What was it? Crazy Beautiful. Wait a minute. I think this is playing... Is this playing the version with the little girl? Yeah, I think it was. Okay. I have no idea why or how that happened, but apparently it played the original ending, and we're rolling credits. For those of you who are watching along, are probably quite confused, probably just as confused as I am, but you didn't get that vigilante justice ending. You got the kidnapping the little girl to kill her for no real reason, because she didn't do anything wrong. Okay, well, that's about it for me. I'm done talking about this movie, and I think I'm done with this movie for quite a while, because, yeah, I've had enough. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and hope you will join me again soon. Unpleasant dreams.